Welcome, everyone. As we receive all of our guests, it's so good to be with you on this Saturday, celebrating the first Scientist Award. Today, we celebrate the work of the Brazilian scientists who are helping to expand the frontiers of science through their research, fueled by curiosity, dedication, and willingness to contribute to a better world for all humankind. The session is being recorded and will be posted on social media. So please have in mind that by continuing to be in the meeting, you and our other participants are consenting to be recorded. My name is Cynthia Michels, and I am one of the leaders of the Silicon Valley chapter of Grupo Mulheres do Brasil, alongside Mônica Marcolino and Aline Fontes. We are here in partnership with Dimension Sciences, represented by Marcia Fournier and Mariana Sgabi, to present you this wonderful event in which you will have the opportunity to learn, to be inspired, to connect with scientists from different parts of the world, and to celebrate the amazing women who are taking Brazilian science one step further. And now let's take a look at our schedule for today. First, we are going to have the AIOG career panel, where you will hear about industry opportunities for PhDs. That will be followed by a 20 minutes breakout for networking, which is a fantastic opportunity to meet and connect with other great minds. The third part will be graced by our keynote speaker, Professor Ester Sabino, followed by a Q&A. And after learning, connecting, and being inspired by all these incredible guests that we have here today, it is time to celebrate, as we will reveal the 5 honorable mentions and the winners of the $2,000 prize for the first Scientist Award. And good news, because in the spirit of cooperation, I ask you to please invite your friends and share this moment with them. Let's celebrate together. And know that if you decide to support us through donation, you will be up to a raffle prize to be announced in the end of April. The winner will receive a message via email on the first week of May. All $25 or plus donations in the month of April will be competing for 1 year of subscription of the masterclass. So if you want a chance to win this prize, please scan our QR code that you see on your screen, and let's take this award to another level. Let's make our community stronger to this cooperation. We all have seen during these pandemic times how science is important to help us understand what is going on and make decisions that can save lives daily. We believe that this award can help empower even more our science, as it opens doors to international cooperations and celebrates scientists as their heroes that they truly are. We hope to create a legacy that will impact the next generations of not only scientists, but also artists and philosophers, as we understand that the greatest societies Earth has ever seen were all connected by these 3 pillars of development and evolution. And we can only achieve this if you join us on this journey today. This is why we also would like to thank our sponsors who believed on this cause and joined us to make this award happen. We also would like to thank all the donations we received from the public and the support of many organizations who helped us to spread the word. And of course, all the scientists who submitted their research, which I must say were so good that they gave a lot of work to the scientific committee to decide the winners. And so it's time to start our first panel of today, which is the AIOG career panel. And for that, I would like to invite to our virtual stage Robert Pijewski and Brittany Knight to present the panel to us. And as they come in, I ask you to interact via chat and enjoy all of the opportunities you have to connect with the great minds that are here today. Welcome to the stage, Rob and Britt.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Yes, thank you so much. It's exciting to be here today.
So I'd first like to introduce our group, the Academia Industry Opportunities Group. So my name is Dr. Rob Pievsky. It's different to say I just recently finished my PhD, and I'm so happy to host some of my friends and colleagues here with us today. The AIOG group provides opportunities to undergraduate, graduate, and postdoctoral fellows to communicate with other scientific professionals in both academic and non-academic careers. And we do this by hosting seminars that are free to the public regarding various careers in biological sciences, as well as to help graduate students and postdocs identify and develop the skills needed to transition from the academic environment to industry. Together, myself, Dr. Brittany Knight, as well as several other individuals have made our group possible, having a worldwide presence due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm thrilled to be able to be here today with Dimension Sciences at this event. So I guess without further ado, I'll introduce our three panelists today. Dr. Knight and myself will moderate questions from the audience, and we're really looking forward to the event. Our first panelist is Dr. Leah Shuaibar, Dr. Luis Sordo Vieira, and Dr. Martina Bertolini. If you can each take your turn and introduce yourselves, and we'll begin our panel.
Hey, can you hear me, Rob?
Yes.
Hi. Well,
hi.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for this kind invitation. I'm very excited to be here, and I'm looking forward to this conversation. To introduce myself, my name is Leah Shuaibar. I'm originally from Venezuela, and to give you a background about my career so far, I did my undergraduate program in biology in Venezuela. Then I decided to pursue a graduate program here in the United States, and I was fortunate to receive a teaching scholarship at the University of Florida Institute of Technology in Melbourne, Florida, where I completed my master's in cell molecular biology. Then after completing that program, I decided I needed more. I wanted more science. I wanted to get more training, and I went to the University of Connecticut to pursue my PhD in biomedical sciences. That's where I met all these fine people. And after completing my PhD, I decided to embark on an independent project. And I should say my PhD project was in reproductive medicine, investigating topics of oocyte maturation that apply to fertility. And after completing my PhD program, I decided to embark in a different disease and investigate the applications that my research in reproductive biology could have in other systems. And I decided to start a project on investigating the application of my previous research in a disease called Achondroplasia, which is a disease where children unfortunately suffer from a genetic mutation that they are unable to grow, so they're dwarf people, very, very short people. So after I completed my postdoc and was offered an assistant professor appointment at the University of Connecticut, and at this point, I'm in the process of transitioning into an industry position, and thanks to the IOIG program, it's been very helpful in helping me through that transition. And I welcome any questions from the group.
Luisa Martina?
So it's a pleasure being here. So I'm actually originally from Venezuela. I moved to the United States around 13 years old. Then I decided to go to Wayne State for my undergraduate degree, where I studied, got a degree in mathematics and physics. Then I went to graduate school at the University of Kentucky, getting my PhD in pure mathematics. And then I started thinking that I wanted to use my skills to, improve human health in some way or form. Then I transitioned to the University of Connecticut to do to UConn Health to do my first postdoc. This is where I met the wonderful people on this call. And I started working on applying mathematical methods for analyzing signal transduction networks and how to understand how a signal transduces a signal from stimuli to phenotype. Then I moved to the Jackson Laboratory for Genomic Medicine for my second postdoctoral fellowship, and I started working on integrating different types of data to get a better understanding on the role of iron in cancer progression. During that time, I got to do a lot of really cool things that were in addition to my work. I started working with the Postdoctoral Association, which is where I met a lot of my friends there. I was the vice president and the president at the end. That's where I met. I spent a lot of time with Martina, who's the other person on this call, a lot of really fun times. In addition to that, I also joined the Society for Industrial and Applied Mathematics Science Policy Fellowship. So this gave me the opportunity to go to Capitol Hill and spend some time talking to decision makers up in Washington, D.C. More recently, in the last year, I moved to the University of Florida to the Department of Medicine as a research assistant professor. I'm working on modeling in respiratory diseases, in particular invasive aspergillosis. And in addition to that, I recently got interested in applying computational mathematical methods, such as artificial intelligence and machine learning, to psychiatry. So recently, I'm working on a project applying artificial intelligence to better understand hoarding disorder. So from that, and now I have a dual appointment in the Department of Psychiatry, and just received a grant to apply mathematical methods to better understand and predict who is at risk of developing hoarding disorder.
Hey, and I'm Martina, and as you guys might see, I'm from Brazil, so I'm actually very happy to be participating on this event today. I was extremely proud when I saw like all these development to be made and calling for more researchers in the area, and especially being from Brazil, I'm extremely honored to the invite today. So I'd like to thank everybody. And also I'm extremely happy to be here today with Luis and Leia, that I know also from the UConn Health. So in Brazil, I did dental school, so I'm actually like a clinician scientist nowadays. After my dental school, I was really interested in research, so I did my master's degree there, still with a clinical residency, and then I decided I wanted to go further into the research. At that time, I was very into like the oral microbiology and disease related, especially with disease that we see in the dental field. So I started to work with candidiasis and candida biofilms, and I decided to come to the UConn to further develop my research. So during my PhD, I found a researcher there, Dr. Dongari. She accepted me for her lab, and I spent 1 year there doing research as part of my PhD. And that really opened up my mind to like better, like more quality research that at that time I didn't have so much access in Brazil. So I later came here and I did 3 more years of postdoctoral research in her lab. And I was further studying, so I started studying just Candida albicans as the biofilm and what could modulate its virulence. But more and more, I see nowadays the whole like microbiome coming really strong. So nowadays I study also how other bacteria of the microbiome can be affected by local environmental changes, and then how those changes will modulate the microbiome, and then how this will further modulate the Candida biofilm. So this is nice and interesting field right now because microbiome is growing so much. And this obviously affects other communities, other microorganisms that are in the community, especially the fungi. So at the moment, after doing those 3 years of postdoc, I decided I wanted to remain into the dental field. So I actually transitioned one step back in my career to do a residency, still at UConn, combined with a master's degree, but still continuing the postdoctoral research that I started. So at this point, I'm almost done with my residency, which were 3 more years. And I'm slowly starting to transition back to positions in academia that I'm applying right now. So I'm still into the microbiology research and the fungi research, but more focusing now into more patient-based. And so all the individuals that are immunosuppressed, so candidiasis, we know it affects a bunch of patients either that are immunosuppressed due to disease, such as HIV, and usually the dentists are one of the first ones to diagnose, because the patients might not know that they are immunosuppressed until we start to see a lot of oral manifestations of those disease. And more recently into the chemotherapy also that further makes those patients immunosuppressed. So we are creating mice models that further we can analyze those immunosuppressions either by cortisone immunosuppression because of like transplant patients, or the chemotherapy related immunosuppression from the cancer patients, and how all those immunosuppressions modulate the microbiome in a different way, and then further modulate the candida virulence in a different way. So I think I saw one of the people presenting for the awards is also in a dental school somewhere here in the US. So whoever is like in the clinician scientist career, I would love to answer any questions that you guys might have. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. It looks like Priscilla, one of the organizers, is putting everyone LinkedIn profiles for each of the panelists here. So if anyone has any further interest in reaching out, I think you can do it through that mechanism. I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself earlier. I'm Brittany Knight. I'm a postdoctoral fellow at UConn. I'm studying regenerative medicine in pain. So being on the other end of the graduate program. So to remind everyone to please use the chat to share any or ask any questions or comments you may have as we open this discussion now. I was writing down some questions, so I have something to start with, unless Rob wants to go ahead, but I think I'll lead. So because AIOG is a free student resource for graduate students, postdoctoral fellows, and we would like to target college students. You know, a lot of students, it seems, along the trajectory of academia are maybe a little uneasy about staying in academia and pursuing research because of the landscape of funding and such. So I was just curious, you know, how you three decided to pursue your research topics and whether or not to stay or to leave the current mechanism of the ivory tower, so to speak.
I can start. Okay. Yes, you can hear me. So for me, how did I decide to pursue this career? It's a very interesting time to answer these questions because I'm in the process of transitioning. I have to say I did not have a bad experience in academia. I'm so fortunate to have had a great experience while at UConn and at my previous school. And the reason I became interested in moving into an industry position is because I would like my scientific background or my scientific skills to be directly improving patients' quality of life. And I, as a student and as a postdoc and an assistant professor, I was exposed to a clinical experience that changed my perspective. I worked at the fertility clinic at UConn as an embryologist, and at the time there, I was interacting with physicians, with patients, and I had the true experience of seeing how what we learn in the lab as a scientist applies and improves patients' lives. So for me, it wasn't because I'm running away from a bad experience. It's more because I really want to take my work to the next step and see how what I do makes someone's life better.
That's a good point. I think sometimes when we talk about these conversations of transitioning or staying or leaving academia, I think there's some baggage and negative connotations associated with, not staying in research anymore. And you were saying, and not to put words in your mouth, but correct me if I'm wrong, you were saying your fit was better served maybe in a different kind of way, and that you could be more impactful for your field by pursuing the industry position, as opposed to maybe answering questions and developing new things in the lab. Any other thoughts from any other or Leah, if you have any other thoughts about that?
No, I completely agree with what you say. I know there's a lot being said about bad funding and bad situations, but as I said, I was fortunate to be part of a great lab, a great school. And my decision was based on just what fills me as a person, as a professional. And I just feel like if I'm interested in interacting with physicians and patients, I really see day by day how my work is impacting people's life. So I don't mean to discourage anybody from staying in academia. I just suggest to follow what makes you happy, what makes you full as a professional.
That's good advice. Other people might think that maybe they're a failure if they left, or sometimes I think because we're in an environment that's supporting that trajectory, because that's where you are, that if you leave, it's like, oh, you're not good enough or whatever. But that's important to remember that is absolutely not true, and it's not one size fits all. And we're in a time period now where, and AIOG is trying to show people this, that there are so many different things you can do with your skill sets. You just need to identify what those skills are and how they can be useful, and then go for it. It's really, the sky's the limit, I think.
Absolutely.
I think honestly, like the one of the only ways to fail in graduate school is if you decide that you're going to keep doing something that makes you miserable for the rest of your life. So like if the academic environment has made you miserable and you think it's going to keep doing that, you keep pursuing that in my eyes is more of a failure than whatever decision you decide to do. So I think at the end of the day, like a PhD teaches you more than just like very specific skill that you have during your PhD or your postdoc, right? You're learning how to think critically. You're learning new skills, communication skills, and those are applicable in all places of science, in all places of industry. So to me, it's the part of your job as a graduate student or as a postdoc is like try to find whatever sparks your joy, right? Like whatever is your passion. And it doesn't really have to be, it's sort of an artificial line of whether you stayed in industry or whether you stayed in academia, right? Like just do what brings you the most joy. And whether that's considered to be a success or a failure for society, who cares, right? Like at the end of the day, you have to make yourself happy.
I completely agree. I think this is also one of the reasons that I wanted to get back into my clinician part of the science. I wanted to still be, even though I was doing mostly microbiology, automicrobiology research, I wanted to still be involved into a dental school, into a dental department. And I feel like also one of the things that we have to look for, looking into the grants, and people say, oh, how difficult are to get NIH grants nowadays. Really, I would encourage you to look further into other societies, other associations that offer grants in your area. So me being the periodontology field, recently I got an award for this, and they have different awards to fund your research, to help you with a transition career. So I know like NIH is hard, but it's not like a new thing. Like it has always been hard. And depending on like your field and everything, there are other ways to get funded. And I see this a lot, especially like in dental school, medical school. You have all these associations that offer grants. You have like opportunities to send collaborations with like the Army, the Department of Defense. Those all are things that you can look into it. So I see a lot of these, especially in my field, and I would really encourage people to look for those, be open-minded, and I think there is opportunity for everybody that wants to be out there. As long as Luis was saying, like, this is what you love, you're gonna find a way to be happy with it, to be fulfilled with all your desires into this area, and eventually you're just gonna make it. So just open up your mind into other opportunities. I think it's my suggestion.
Bring up a good point about societies, or you know, I don't know if it's soft money, but like the smaller grants, you know, maybe not, instead of funding everything, maybe funding part of your project, or like you said, with transitioning. Have any of you, you know, you can become a part of a society by paying your dues and being a member for a year, but have any of you been more active in your, any like the societies that you've been a member of? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. In the Society for Industrial and Applied Mathematics, I am a science policy fellow. So this is a program that I applied for because they have a science policy committee, and on top of science, what I'm really interested in is how does science and policy interact, right? Like, how do we use science to make the world a better place? So one way that I decided to get involved with my society is that they have this program for young scientists on. They essentially join the committee, the science policy committee for the whole society, and they get to hear presentations from people from the NIH, from people from the NSF, from DoD, and so on. Last year, for example, I got to have a conversation with Josh Gordon, who heads the National Institute of Mental Health, about how can mathematics improve psychiatry overall, right? So like, these are the opportunities that your societies offer, and you have to be on the lookout for, right? And they can really lead you in directions that you had no idea that you would be led into. So for example, my current research in computational psychiatry came from these interactions that I had through my society. So that's why you always want to be on the lookout for things that are not, you know, quote unquote obvious on where to look.
Yeah, so for me, in the field of periodontology, we have obviously the American Academy of Periodontology, and then there is the American Academy of Periodontology Foundation. And this foundation is the one that really tries to keep people into academia, try to like give different workshops or different awards and grantings and all that. So this was the one that I recently got more involved. So they do have a part of them that it's focused for like current residents or people who are finishing their resident and want to transition to the academia and stay in the academia. I think especially like medical and dental field, people finish with so much debt in school that they really try to like help you to find ways to be able to really like afford to stay in academia, is how they call, because they want you to be successful. They want to give you all the tools. So I really encourage, that's why I was saying, just like Luis, for you to look into, not necessarily even the societies that has direct correlation with your degree, but also which has direct correlation with something that you'd like to study and pursue. So as he was saying, like, you can find other ways that are not obvious for you that can help you to get funded, can help you to get in contact with other scientists on the field. And this can help you with collaborations and everything. I think especially nowadays, like, collaboration is a big important piece of doing good research, of getting grants, of seeing your name out there. So I would definitely encourage those.
Okay, I think we'll move on to some of the questions that are in the chat box. Thank you so much for everyone who has contributed. We're going to start first with talking about potential difficulties women or men face in science. So the question is, have you faced difficulties as a woman in science? And Louis, do you have testimony regarding bias regarding women in science? Anyone can go first if they have a comment.
I'm happy to talk. So I have to say, no, I have not faced difficulties as a woman. I'm also not the type of person who is looking out for to blame others about my struggles. Like, I like to say that I know that sometimes you have to work twice as much for being, for at least in our case, for being from a different country, different language. Sometimes that just means working twice as much to stand out. And but I have to say I'm fortunate, and fortunately I have not faced difficulties as a woman. Yes, it's challenging because women tend to be more responsible for other activities, especially when you become a mother. I'm a mother too. So the way my perspective to work changed drastically when I became a mother. That doesn't mean the quality of my work was decreased. I think I became a more efficient person. My time management skills improve, and I was able to keep up with the quality of work I was given. Even though I was a woman, I was responsible for more activities elsewhere. So, and I was also very fortunate to have a mentor who it was an incredible example to follow, and always encouraged me to continue doing what I know to do best. And she was always telling me, you're doing a great job, even though you feel you're not good enough, you're doing a great job. So hearing that when you're not feeling great, it's amazing. So being surrounded by people that encouraged you, it's key in succeeding as a, doesn't matter if you're a woman or not, or man. But to answer the question, no, I haven't felt that way. But I'm not looking out for that kind of experiences either. So I think my suggestion is always focus on my goals, my role. This is what I need to do, and keep working. Like, just keep your eyes there.
I would say that from my perspective, the biggest privilege that I've seen as a male is every time that I will walk into a classroom for the first time, I never had to worry about people using my first name, right? Like, people would always say Dr. Soto Vieira or Dr. Vieira or Mr. Vieira or something. Whereas like for a lot of my female counterparts in graduate school, immediately it will be using their first names without any sort of permission, without asking for whether that was okay or not. So that's I guess my most striking thing that I've noticed as being a male and talking to my female TAs or people that were teaching courses, is that I immediately gained the respect of the students without having to do anything. The default was to call me by formal titles or formal names.
So I haven't, I guess because we are all in UConn, and I think it's a very inclusive environment. Just like Leah, I haven't really seen anything to struggle. But now that I'm starting to apply for positions like elsewhere, what I've been noticing, and also what I've been discussing back with my AP foundation, is most of those like higher positions, like when I've been interviewing, most of them are male. And this is one of those things that I keep always like in my mind. It's not like we seeing like we feel not treated well or something, but we also want the same opportunities to occupy like those higher positions, let's say. So like in dental school, we see 50-50 from my experience, like male-female ratio. But then as you move along in the ladder of like higher positions, most like competitive positions, very often they are male positions. So this is a talk that we have very often, that even though we don't see right away something of like discrimination, we always want to make sure that we can be a part of this. And in Brazil, some of the people that I speak there, they are starting to advocate for themselves. So let's say they are invited to participate of a conference or part of a panel or something. And if they see everybody's male, they say like they say something like, where are the female of the field? Like, where are their participation? They also need to be heard. They also have a voice. And this can change a little bit on how the conversation goes, or how the policies are made for determined areas. So I think this is one of the most important things that I've been advocating right now, is not only like equal opportunity, but really push to find the space for these females, because they are all there. Like, look at us, we are here. So we need an opportunity to have those higher positions.
Martina, I think you bring up a really valuable point. You know, women, and as well as, you know, not only being a woman, or whether you're first generation or whether you're from a different country, you see these male dominated fields, or a dominated that if you're in the minority, you should still apply for those positions, because then you can think about becoming the mentor that you would have wanted when you were younger. You make the push to be that first one. Don't worry about if you're the first female to do this, or the first generation, or the first whatever. Be the person that you would have wanted when you were younger. So I think you bring up a really valid point. So no one should stray away from the position that they want just because they see all male, or all wealthy, or whatever it is. I think you should always push for what you dream about. Really fantastic question. We have some questions regarding your individual research. So Richard had asked, where do you think your research should progress in the field of immunology, microbiome sciences, really to improve global health? All of you seem to be working on larger diseases. How do you think that contributes overall to global health? And anyone could take it.
I guess I've been waiting to do like in order, like I always like speak first and then Louise speak first and then I speak last. But I can take this one. I think, especially nowadays, that we see a lot of antibiotics resistance or antifungal resistance. So like last year or 2 years ago, we saw this big outbreak of a candidiasis in New York, New Jersey, that was resistant to most of the antifungal drugs. I think us being into the microbiology field or immunology, better understanding what are the factors, what are the local factors, environmental factors that really change this microbiome, and also which species can help others with like probiotics, let's say, to reduce the event of others. So this is something that I'm going on more and more with my research right now. I found that certain modulating factors, local factors, increase some sort of lactobacilli. So they're very well known to be probiotics. And with those, my mice, like my model, did not get infected with candidiasis. So this is something that we're starting to get a better understanding right now, as far as try to really have a better conscience in order to reduce the use of antibiotics. This is something that has been in other fields, as far as I'm concerned, to really not like give broad spectrum antibiotics for every patient, for every small thing that we need. And I think one of the big pushes of people studying the microbiome right now is to really find a way to modulate this microbiome with other ways, with other bacteria that are known like to be benefic, as we say, to try to treat those diseases. So I think this is gonna be like this is gonna be a big impact for the global health, because of all these antibiotic resistant bacteria. So right now I'm focusing on more and more into better understanding from probiotics and all that, from my perspective.
I guess I'll go next. So I find my inspiration for my work in the idea of the medical digital twin. Is the idea of like integrating different types of data that we have gotten really, really good at gathering, so genetics data, data from patients, metabolomics, and so on, and integrating into a picture of a particular virtual patient. The idea being thinking about like how engineers think about maintenance of, for example, air turbines, right? Like they can predict when the turbine is going to, they can predict when it's going to break based on computational models. So what I think of when I think of my work is, in the long-term vision is developing these digital twins of people to help in personalized medicine, right? Can I predict what sort of disease you will have in the future, or what kind of treatment can you have, by integrating all types of omics data that we can now gather fairly easily from patients into a computational model. So that's how I see in my research developing into the future.
Very
Yes, I'm
cool.
next.
Yes, please.
So about the question, how do I see my research developing in the future? That's the question we're answering, right? Well, I have two research lines. So one is in fertility, one is in achondroplasia. The most recent achievement I had is for the project of achondroplasia, so I'll focus on that one. And this is a disease that has, the moment has no approved drug. So the next step for this is to continue working on finding the best treatment for children who are suffering from this disease, and at the same time, try to find other disease that could be also benefited from the research we have been doing, which it's one of the greatest things about working in different fields is that oftentimes you can find that what you have discovered in one system helps improve in another system or another disease. So for me, as a future message, I think, as Martina mentioned earlier, collaboration is key. Like if joining forces, people with different backgrounds, different specialties can help us find a better way for all patients to, or all people to live better.
I would like to go back to a point that was touched on earlier. And since we're talking about sort of, moving forward, but let's talk about people who are maybe a little back further in their career, and they're looking up to you as, oh, you're representing people that are in these fields, and Leah, you mentioned, you touched on this briefly about some of the challenges you had to overcome, or any of you being bilingual or moving from a different country to the United States, and whatever point of your life that was happening. What advice would you have, or resources that were important, really crucial to you when you were making those transitions, for someone who maybe might be overwhelmed? I can't even imagine what that would be like to yes, please talk about that.
Yes, advice I would have. I think for me, my greatest advice would be to find support. I mean, there's people who have gone through this before you, and just find someone who's from similar background like you in your school, who's more advanced in your program, your career, whatever you, and talk to people, ask for advice to them, because as I said, they went through this first, and you're not the first one, you're not the last one going through these challenges. So as for everything, networking, right? So connect with people and talk about what you're going through and what you need and where you would like to get, and just ask, what do I need to do to overcome this, or what do you do when you were at my position to overcome whatever challenge you had? Because people are always willing to help. Most of the time, people are willing to help, and people remember what they went through. So again, right now, maybe I'm in a position where I can help others, find tools, find resources to overcome their challenges. So I guess that's my my advice. Just connect, speak up, and ask for help.
I would say that for me, I would say the most, for one thing, I will go back to my younger self and make myself aware of imposter syndrome, right? Like that is for sure. I will make myself like, this is a thing. Everyone has it, right? Like, or most people have it, especially people in minority and underrepresented groups. But like, I will make myself know that this is something that a lot of us feel. The other comment that I would say is that like we undervalue the tremendous value that mentors have on us, right? Like if there's somebody that you can see as a mentor, develop a connection with them. And that mentor might come from, all types of sources. And there, you shouldn't only have one mentor, right? You might have a mentor for your specific area of expertise, but then you might have a mentor that tells you about like your life. And then you might have a mentor that teaches you about how to speak in conferences, right? So like develop an arsenal of different types of mentors. And those might actually be your peers, right? So always like I was saying, the support system is extremely important, right? And if you don't have it readily accessible where you are, then reach out to people that you have either met in the past that you think could help you, but also reach out to people that you don't know yet. You'll be surprised that a lot of people are actually extremely willing to help you and give you advice. Some people are way too willing to give you advice, but for the majority of people like to help. So if you go to a conference, or if you're at a talk and you saw a speaker that does something that you like and you think you could develop a connection, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, like going up to them and say like, I really like your talk. I wonder if you could help me out with this particular facet, or like, just reach out to people. People like to be helpful, I think.
I have a quick comment because I wasn't aware of what imposter syndrome was until I was well into graduate school. It is a mental state in which you may doubt your skills or talents or accomplishments, and you may have this overcoming fear of being caught as a fraud, that you aren't worthy of being here, or somebody else should be here. I've heard students say this before in school. I don't know why they accepted me. Nothing's working. And I think it happens where maybe a lot of like challenges have happened, and maybe you've just been sort of beaten down by the fact that nothing's working. And, like in lab, things could take sometimes a really long time before you actually have like substantial data, or maybe you've been writing grants so many times and they haven't been funded, and so you just feel like it's me. But sometimes it's all about timing and like and setting up things, but to not be so hard on yourself, and that it's but yeah, identifying that those things it's a real syndrome. And I think catching yourself in those moments when you're doubting yourself or having those negative connotations that you're not worthy, or that you might not have fallen into this situation and like it's just not for you. There's one thing when you're not happy, and we talked about that earlier, but there's another thing where yes, you're fine. It's just, I think another theme that we've been talking about is making to surround yourself with positive, supportive individuals that can help you, I think, catch you when, give you some perspective when maybe you've been a little tunnel vision and stuck. Yeah, stuck. I mean, it happens, and overcoming those things is that's why we need friends, and we need support. It's so important. You can't do things alone, right? And finding those people can be hard. This conversation has come up, or questions have come up about how do you find a mentor. We have like little less than 10 minutes left, but I really think that since this is really important, and we've talked about this a few times, could any one of you three, or all three of you, explain maybe how you've gone about finding a mentor, or how you feel it is important how to find one, just to sort of help someone, because it always comes up, like, how do you do that? Again, and there's no equation. It's sort of a natural thing, just like finding friends, but please, some advice for the audience for that.
I think, as Louise was saying, like, not necessarily you have to identify that one mentor that is supposed to help you with everything, What I feel like I do nowadays, what I say it like to myself is I have my support network. So those are like a bunch of people that I know I can always count on for different things. So obviously my advisor at UConn has been pretty great into my like writing skills for like granting applications and all that. And then besides her, I have another part of my support network, which is somebody like well connected to other universities in the US. So she's helping me to apply for the positions, to practice for my interviews. And then I reach out to another person in Brazil who is also from the same field as me. And she has some training here in the US. She's part of some of those associations here. And she has been like giving me advice into who to connect to, where to find myself, like to get support into how to apply for those positions that are not open yet, but they might soon be opening, people who are leaving from other institutions. So I always say, like, maybe as we said, don't try to identify one mentor and like put all the weight of your life into that person. Really try to connect and create a network for support. And those people can help you in different ways, not only in your professional life, but also in your personal life. I think especially this year, all of us struggle a little bit with the social distancing, to not be able to truly like connect to person like in life. But I found myself getting like strong connections virtually, just like that, by emailing people. A couple of the conference that I attended were virtual, and surprisingly, I spoke with like very like high like specialists in the field of my area, that I think because it was virtual and we're looking to ourselves just like that, I felt more comfortable to ask questions, to gather emails, and they were like extremely helpful. And I think like in the past, if I was in the conference and I see like the chair of that session, like such a high person from Germany, maybe I wouldn't have gone and approached her, but because it's just like that, I approached her and she was like extremely helpful. So I think, as Leo is saying, people are willing to help, and they just need to be asked, right? I feel like, especially as internationals, no matter where we're from, obviously from Brazil, we understand better like the background of where you came from. But I feel like we are all in this together, as we heard all year, and people are extremely willing to help. So just create yourself a network of support, and this is gonna help you in your personal and in your like professional life as well. That's my bit of advice.
I think for me, one very important thing that you want to have at least one person in your life is somebody that you can be very vulnerable with, right? Like vulnerability does not have to be a bad thing. It's somebody that you can like take down your armor and like be like, tell them like, this is what's going on in my life, right? Like, can you give me advice? And you know that that person, whether they tell you that you're being stupid, but it doesn't matter, like they will stick by you, right? Because they trust them, that they will be there with you, whatever you're going through. So you have to find one person in your career that you're okay being vulnerable with, because a lot of academia and a lot of training in science is about pretending that we know what the hell we're doing, right? Pretending that we understand every talk that we're going to, pretending that like the grant just came out of nowhere, the paper wrote itself, but that's not how science works. There's a lot of failure. The majority of science is failure. And you have to be okay being vulnerable with people if you really want to develop a good mentor-mentee relationship. So try to find that one person that you can be vulnerable with.
One advice I would like to add to this is that whenever you are building relationships, remember it should be a bi-directional relationship. So you should always be thinking about providing value, because it's not fair to start a relationship only because the person can do something for you. We have value to provide, and we can do, like, people may need some help with something, say I don't know, providing time or reviewing something, or the person just was awarded or got a paper out. You write to the person, congratulations, I saw this. So it's about the person too. So always find ways to provide value to another person. And really, it shouldn't matter about of whether the person can do or will do something for you. It should be your state of mind to provide value to people. When you're talking to people, see if you can help them in a way, because one day you are going to need help, and somebody will be able to help you. And if you have helped other people, you will deserve to be helped too. So it's kind of, we should all be helping everybody so we can, get to where we need to go or need to be.
That's good to remember, that it's not a good mindset to be like, what is in it for you? Because if this is going to be a fostered relationship over time, it is, like you said, bi-directional. It's a relationship. You should be, supportive for each other in whatever form that would take. Listening, it's very important, and celebrating accomplishments, big or small. So I think we're at the end of our time here. We have about 2 minutes, and then there's a networking event. There is a link in the chat for everyone who's interested. Rob, do you have any final comments? I really want to thank everyone all the panelists here today. I think we had a really good conversation. I really appreciate all of your perspectives and sharing your advice and your experiences. It's really, really special. And I really hope the audience enjoyed that. I hope you got to see some of the comments that were shared during the discussion today.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'd like to add, all of you guys are all doing amazing science out there. Be, not only finding the mentors that can help you, but be a mentor to others. All of you have something important to offer. Leah, Luis, and Martina, I'll bring up valid points. It is a relationship. You have more than just your scientific advisor. Think of your relationship, your career, how you get mentored as a table. If you keep asking someone who only brings potato salad or a salad to the table, then you're only going to have salad to eat. You want someone who's going to give you something diverse, right? Diverse mentoring network. And that's how I like to think of things. Not someone who could just help you with science, but in your personal life, your development as a person, as a scientist, as an individual. So I want to thank all of our panelists today, Leah, Luis, Martina, as well as all of our attendees today for coming today. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
What a wonderful panel. So many insights, so rich for all of us. Even if you are a scientist or not, you can enjoy all of these tips and these ideas that were shared with us. So I really would like to thank all of our panelists and the IOG for this opportunity. And I also would like to thank the Brazilian Embassy in Washington, D.C., who has supported us through this event and this award. And we have here with us Mr. Lauro Beltrão, who is representing our embassy. So thank you for your support. And now it's our connection time. It's so great to connect with bright minds, and we have the opportunity to now go to another meeting Zoom. So you have here all the instructions you need to know. We will be back in 20 minutes. So please come back with us so you can watch Professor Ester Sabino do her keynote speech. And you can just click on the Zoom link that Narjara has posted on the chat session, and you will get out of this meeting. We'll go to another meeting, and then she will let you know when it's time to come back. Enjoy your time and see you soon. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. How good it is to be able to connect like this. Even online, we can feel the opportunities opening up in front of us. How amazing is that? For those who are getting here just now, we are very excited with the next hour of our award event, because we are about to hear Professor Ester Sabino, our keynote speaker, share her ideas, her insights, and all her history with us. And it's a great opportunity for us to be inspired and to seize this wonderful Saturday in our imagination and in our bringing a brighter future to our present. And also for those who are just getting here, after Professor Ester Sabino gives her talk, we're going to have a Q&A, and then we will reveal the winners of our ScientistA award. We have 5 honorable mentions, and we have a $2,000 cash prize for the winner. So we are very excited to also get to this point and find out who these amazing scientists are. And to present our keynote speaker, Professor Ester Sabino, I would like to invite to our virtual stage Liliana Moura Massis, who is a research scientist in microbiology and immunology at Stanford University. Liliana, please, welcome to the stage. Liliana, my dear, please open up your microphone so we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, yes, I always do that. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Thank you everyone for being here. It's like a pleasure like to see this event happening. I'm like full of happiness here. So it's my pleasure to introduce today our keynote speaker, Dr. Ester Sabino. And I want to start by saying thank you so much, Dr. Sabino, for being here, for accepting our invitation to be our keynote speaker. It's a big pleasure. And also, I want to thank you for believing and support the empowerment of women in science. This award started with a couple of women is trying to improve gender equality in science. And Dr. Sabino is an example. What we believe and want for the future. That is dedication, perseverance, vision, and success of women scientists. Dr. Sabino is a full professor at the Department of Infectious Disease at the University of São Paulo. Is a MD in pediatrics and a PhD in immunology at the University of São Paulo. She did part of her research training in the US, like many of us here, and all the candidates for the awards. She published more than 300 papers in scientific journals and mentored a lot of scientists over the years. And not to talk about her, a lot of advances in the science that she performed over the years. She's gonna tell us more about it. So I wanna invite people to send your questions in the Q&A during her presentation so we can discuss it with her after her talk. So now I'm gonna give the stage to Dr. Sabino. And before you start the presentation, I would like to ask you a question. What was the motivation for you to support the ScientistA Award?
So I think this kind of award is very important in many aspects. I remember when I was a child and I was in my school, they would give you a medal. It was military government. And each time you do well with your notes, you would get a medal. And I was for 1 year, all the time, I was the only one getting that medal. What happened is that in the next year, I said, I don't want anymore. And then I start making mistakes not to be the first. And I think there is this thing for women. It makes you feel like you're doing something wrong, that you should not be there. And so I think we need to prepare the women to receive awards, to understand the importance of their work, to make them feel comfortable in receiving the award, which as a child, and I think we don't even realize how we don't want, and how we put ourselves in a position that put us below, even when you are doing well. So I think it's very important. And I think this kind of putting the woman in a stage, helping them learn how and push them to do the best of them and not doing less. I think this is important. and I thought of giving my talk and just not showing what I'm doing, but just the feeling that you have when you are doing science. So that's why I changed a little bit the initial talk to give this idea to the people. What I'm not sure is whether I give it in Portuguese or English. Sometimes I think, I don't know if most of the audience is okay with English or if we should change to Portuguese.
Yeah,
Which of
thank you.
course I'll give it a better.
Whatever you prefer, we have the people doing the interpretation here for us, so thank you so much.
Okay, so I'll change to Portuguese and I present myself, is that? Can I do my presentation? Change the... Então, boa tarde a todos. É um prazer estar aqui apresentando. Espero que vocês estejam vendo o meu screen. Sim? Então, uma pessoa como eu trabalhou sempre com epidemias. Na verdade, quando eu estava terminando a faculdade de medicina, começou a epidemia de AIDS. E a epidemia de AIDS teve uma importância enorme, principalmente em bancos de sangue, porque mais ou menos antes dos testes começarem, por exemplo, em São Francisco, 1% de todas as bolsas estavam positivas para HIV, houve uma grande transmissão de vírus por transfusão sanguínea. E por isso teve esse programa que, no final, teve muito impacto na minha vida, porque eu fui treinada exatamente aqui, através da Fundação Fogarty, que, aliás, foi uma das fundações que quase acabou durante o governo Trump. Então, como é importante esses primeiros treinamentos? Basicamente, todo mundo do começo do programa de AIDS foi treinado por esse programa da Fundação Fogarty. O programa de AIDS no Brasil teve uma importância enorme para o mundo. Como network, como você está ligado, como começar a criar a nível de pós-graduação, esses programas é tão importante. Bom, em 2005, esse programa abriu para países fora, eu já estava de volta aqui e eu pude aplicar, e o Brasil foi um dos escolhidos, e nós estamos até hoje, o programa só vai terminar em 25, trabalhando com questões de segurança transfusional. Bom, esse é o programa que pega 5 hemocentros no Brasil, já tem uma geração de pesquisadores mudando, eu mesmo penso em ter uma nova pesquisadora no meu lugar daqui para frente, e são 5 hemocentros trabalhando junto, formando uma network, trabalhando por um grande período, que facilita muito a gente desenvolver rapidamente uma pesquisa, que é uma coisa tão necessária durante uma epidemia. Se você já está com a infraestrutura montada, é muito mais fácil você trabalhar do que você querer criar toda uma estrutura do zero durante uma epidemia. E uma das epidemias que nós trabalhamos juntos foi a epidemia de dengue 4 em 2012, exatamente para saber se esse vírus transmite pelo sangue e qual é o impacto que ele poderia ter. Isso é importante para a gente que sofre tantas epidemias de dengue, e nunca ninguém tinha estudado esse aspecto, mas também para os Estados Unidos, que pode vir com toda essa mudança do meio ambiente a ter áreas com infestação do mosquito e transmissão do vírus, por exemplo, na Flórida já tá tendo pequenas epidemias e surtos nesse estado. Então, é um interesse de todo mundo. E foi um estudo que também teve o apoio da FAPESP, foi um estudo enorme, mais de 40 mil amostras coletadas, 30 mil testes de PCR realizados e amostras para sequenciar. Quando a gente foi sequenciar para entender a dispersão do vírus, eu precisava de ajuda de novo e queria que os meus alunos aprendessem a fazer análise. E consegui uma bolsa para eles irem para São Francisco. Só que o pesquisador de lá não queria tanto o meu quanto eles trabalham muito mais com metagenômica do que com análise de dados. E aí ele apresentou para um grupo na Universidade de Oxford, que eu não conhecia, e que começaram a analisar os nossos dados de dengue. E foi assim que teve a epidemia de Zika no Brasil. Tentamos vários projetos e finalmente conseguimos um primeiro com recurso do Medical Research Center do Reino Unido para poder fazer esse estudo em Zika. Que foi um estudo bem grande, me trouxe a oportunidade de conhecer essa tecnologia, que é o mini-ion, e nós coletamos amostras em várias regiões do país, vários alunos tiveram essa oportunidade de se conectar e aprender, e terminamos com um paper que foi capa da Nature, com 2 estudantes que receberam as medalhas naquele período. Bom, com isso, o que a gente viu nesse estudo é que 18 meses antes de ter epidemia de Zika, de ter detectado a epidemia de Zika, o vírus já estava circulando no país. E isso vai acontecer muitas vezes em várias epidemias, se demora para perceber que o vírus chegou. Outra coisa é que o trabalho foi publicado 2 anos depois, praticamente, quando a epidemia tinha acabado. Então, todo o esforço da ciência poder dar uma resposta rápida a uma epidemia, depende da gente mudar como a gente faz, de se organizar e de estar pronto para fazer, para essa resposta. Então, desde então, nós estávamos atrás de recursos e montando a infraestrutura para entender novas epidemias. Então, a gente ganhou um outro recurso, de novo agora aqui do MRC, que é o Medical Research Center, e da FAPESP, com 3 universidades inglesas e vários grupos no Brasil, principalmente da Secretaria de Saúde do Estado de São Paulo. E com esse novo recurso, nós começamos a trabalhar. E aqui está a gente fazendo a primeira vez que nós tentamos fazer um mutirão para sequenciar um grande número de amostras de febre amarela, para a gente poder entender como essa epidemia tinha se espalhado pelo país. E aqui está mais ou menos o resultado, não é a questão, não é mais mostrar que a gente estava entendendo e vendo como o vírus está transmitindo em uma determinada região, entre macacos, entre humanos, como é que é esse vírus e como é feita essa transmissão. Também a gente precisa entender, a cidade de São Paulo fica no meio de uma floresta na prática. Então, qualquer momento, esses vírus podem entrar, e a gente queria saber também como se coletando mosquito, para entender por quanto tempo esse vírus da febre amarela iria ficar ao redor da cidade de São Paulo. Essa é outra pergunta. Então, tudo isso você tem que estar preparando, entendendo o mecanismo e tendo um network para poder responder os possíveis agentes. E, finalmente, também a gente estava muito interessado em saber mais sobre o vírus da dengue. Aqui é um também dos estudantes que fez essa cartografia que mostra os pontinhos, números de casos de dengue durante 12 anos, para a gente entender como que é essa dispersão. A gente precisa cada vez mais se esforçar para entender melhor o dengue, que causa uma perda econômica enorme, não só para o estado de São Paulo, mas para todo o país. Então, formular esses grupos que pudessem fazer a resposta ou ensiná-los as várias técnicas era muito importante. E 2019, exatamente em dezembro, quando estavam começando os casos de corona na China, a gente estava fazendo um curso, praticamente muitas das pessoas que estiveram no Instituto de Medicina Tropical são pessoas que definem os genótipos do Covid e do SARS-CoV-2, e que então a gente tinha feito a ligação e começado a entender a tecnologia que está sendo desenvolvida em vários países do mundo. Bom, com isso chegou janeiro, mas para a gente, só para mostrar como isso é importante, fora do corona que está tomando conta da China, a gente teve o seguinte caso, e acho que isso é importante ver como isso acontece várias vezes. Nós tivemos um paciente que morreu com um quadro, parecia uma febre amarela, era uma febre hemorrágica, mas não era febre amarela. Só que o patologista olhou e disse, não, isso tem que ser vírus. E as amostras foram para o Einstein, apareceu esse arenavírus em poucos dias, e aqui também confirmou pela gente por essa técnica que hoje chama metagenômica. Quando a gente viu isso, falou, nossa, mas será que teve mais casos assim? Começamos a pegar todas as amostras com suspeita de febre amarela para saber se tinha mais algum caso, e encontramos um segundo caso em dezembro. Então, tem todo um perigo esse arenavírus, porque ele transmite para os profissionais da saúde, então a gente começou a tentar fazer o screening entre os profissionais para ver se alguém tinha se infectado. Porque tinham tido casos que tinham morrido com outro arenavírus, que não é esse, o vírus sabiá, na Bolívia um ano antes. Então, sequenciando, a gente pode ver de cara que, apesar de de serem 2 vírus do mesmo sabiá, eles eram muito distantes. Isso não era que estava tendo uma epidemia, a gente estava começando a pegar os casos. Provavelmente eram 2 entradas totalmente diferentes e que o fato da gente ter um olhar maior para a febre amarela acabou fazendo com que a gente descobrisse esse vírus. Então, por isso que essas ferramentas são tão importantes. Você tem que estar no momento em que a coisa está acontecendo em cada ponto do mundo. Então, enquanto isso estava acontecendo na China, a epidemia, que foi, então, comunicada no final, 31 de dezembro, todos aqueles pesquisadores que a gente tinha contato começaram a trabalhar nos casos na Europa, e com isso nós conseguimos a maioria dos reagentes e receber através deles todos os protocolos prontos para quando chegasse no Brasil. Então, quando o primeiro caso foi detectado dia 25, nós estávamos lá para fazer o sequenciamento e fazer o primeiro report. E aqui está a Jaqueline, que estava junto no Instituto Adolfo Lutz, fazendo o sequenciamento lá. Com isso, a gente ficou muito famoso no Brasil. E apareceu em tudo quanto era TV. Viramos um personagenzinho de um dos cartunistas famosos do Brasil, que é o Maurício. E isso tudo, de novo, voltou àquela mesma sensação do começo da minha vida, de criança, né? Você ganha um prêmio, você nunca tem certeza que... Será que é tudo isso? No final, é só uma sequência, era o que a gente estava fazendo durante muito tempo. Mas a sensação é a mesma, porque começou a aumentar, foi tão grande por uma sequência só, assim, a visão de que isso era um grande fato, né? As pessoas achavam que isso ia virar uma vacina, às vezes era difícil explicar o contexto do que é você fazer. O que nós estávamos trabalhando nós precisamos estar prontos, estabelecer infraestrutura para poder responder. Mas não é que só que isso era uma grande coisa, na minha percepção. E, na verdade, para a ciência, foi um trabalho que a gente publicou na revista do nosso instituto, era só uma sequência. E isso me deixou muito preocupada. Alguém falou em algumas da conversa anterior, síndrome de impostor, é o que você sente, fala, nossa, está aparecendo em todo lugar e é só uma sequência, não é também tudo isso, né? Mas foi bom que isso fez o grupo todo se esforçar para fazer o nosso primeiro trabalho, que realmente teria um impacto maior e que mostra como a epidemia chegou no Brasil. Então, mais de 11 linhagens, mais de 100 linhagens entraram no Brasil, mas apenas 2, aqui estão mostrando 3, mas realmente 2 foram as mais importantes para a expansão da epidemia, que é essa CAD1, que a gente chamou no paper, que é a B128 e a B133, e foram elas que fizeram a epidemia como a gente conhece hoje no Brasil. Quando a gente olha, quando eu olho esse dado, eu falo, puxa, não é bem assim, eu vejo a dificuldade de ter os alunos chegarem no laboratório, você importar os reagentes, foi feito em 3 laboratórios, então mandar esses reagentes para outros laboratórios. Tem uma operação por baixo e por trás de um paper que é, aqui no Brasil, muito mais difícil do que talvez seja as pessoas fazerem fora. Eu olho essa imagem e fico lembrando de cada pequena dificuldade e como é a persistência para você conseguir fazer as coisas funcionarem aqui no Brasil. Bom, o que aconteceu com o Brasil, que é muito triste e muito diferente do que eu vivi na epidemia de AIDS, onde teve uma resposta organizada, com todo mundo se esforçando para bloquear essa epidemia, foi um crescimento alto, mas até no começo foi mais lento do que aconteceu na Europa, mas ficou um platô por muito tempo. E os casos começaram a cair em outubro, quando voltaram a crescer de novo em novembro. Mas quando a gente vê assim, não é assim em todos os lugares do Brasil, e cada local praticamente teve uma epidemia muito diferente. Então, uma das perguntas que a gente quis fazer foi entender quantas pessoas tinham sido infectadas, qual foi o ataque rate da epidemia, quanto que é a taxa de ataque da epidemia em cada um desses lugares. E por ter uma network de banco de sangue organizada, nós pudemos fazer um estudo no banco de sangue que pudesse responder a isso. E esse foi um estudo que a gente fez, então, no começo saiu Manaus, em São Paulo, que é você fazer a prevalência em bancos de sangue, e o que a gente detectou é que em Manaus, Logo em junho, a epidemia tinha subido rapidamente. A gente vê que depois os anticorpos caem, mas fazendo a correção para a queda desse anticorpo, nós chegamos à conclusão que mais ou menos em setembro, outubro, em torno de 75% da população já tinha sido exposta para o SARS-CoV-2. Bom, por que isso é tão importante? Porque o que as pessoas consideram para um vírus como o SARS-CoV-2, cujo R0, que é aquela medida que diz qual a taxa de transmissão de uma pessoa infectada, quantas ela transmite, e que era em torno de 3, que a gente também mediu no Brasil, quanto você precisa de ter gente infectada para que essa epidemia diminua a sua velocidade. E esse valor, esse valor que é teórico, e tem várias considerações que a população se mistura igualmente, mas é um valor teórico, é um valor interessante, era de 66%. Então, para Manaus, tinha se passado esse valor teórico. E uma das coisas que é importante ter, quando passa o valor teórico, que é exatamente aqui, não quer dizer que a epidemia acaba, que significa que a epidemia diminui de tamanho, ou você nunca tem mais um R maior que 1, até você chegar a 95% da população infectada. Então, a primeira coisa é essas ideias de imunidade de rebanho para imunidade natural é muito tênue, porque a maioria das pessoas vão pegar, não pode ser um projeto de controle de infecção. E também tudo isso se você achar que não existe reinfecção, porque se acontecer reinfecção, que é comum para os outros coronavírus, isso aqui não teria fim, ou logo um grande número de pessoas estaria de novo sensível ao novo vírus. Infelizmente, foi o que aconteceu em Manaus. Mesmo quando depois de ter toda a abertura, a epidemia ficou parada um tempão, de repente, em novembro, começou a subir os casos, e logo em dezembro, final de dezembro, teve uma epidemia enorme. E isso foi muito preocupante, porque só poderia ter se você tivesse, de alguma forma, as pessoas voltando a ficarem sensíveis à nova epidemia. Então, ou isso pode acontecer ou porque o novo vírus transmite mais, ou principalmente se ele é capaz de passar ou evadir o sistema imune. E essas foram as razões do que a gente acha que aconteceu. E, na verdade, foi o que aconteceu, porque detectamos, então, esse novo vírus com um grande número de mutações, que são chamadas as variantes of concern, em inglês, de variantes de preocupação, que rapidamente subiu. Na verdade, o aumento coincide com o aumento dessa variante, que passou de 0 a quase 85% da epidemia. Hoje sabemos, então, que, olhando as sequências que a gente pôde trabalhar, que isso aconteceu no final, entre outubro e novembro. A epidemia realmente se espalhou em dezembro. Também o estudo da Fiocruz, que é meio paralelo com o nosso, também mostrou que não tinha P1 antes de dezembro nas amostras testadas por eles, e ela realmente tomou conta, em poucas semanas, foi de 0 a 85% dos casos. Tem uma taxa, uma carga de viral aparentemente mais alta, mas isso ainda a gente é muito no início do trabalho, a gente precisa analisar um número maior de amostras para ter certeza disso, mas eu acho que é provável que uma das razões para maior transmissibilidade seja a carga viral. E a gente só consegue, pelo menos no primeiro modelo que a gente desenvolveu, só consegue entender se essa variante tiver 3 itens são importantes: ter maior transmissão entre 1.4 a 2.2, ter uma capacidade de invadir o sistema imune entre 25% a 61%, não é que 61% das pessoas pegaram de novo, mas sim que poderiam pegar de novo. E também pensando que ela tem uma taxa de mortalidade maior, apesar de que isso vai ser difícil lá saber, porque pela falta de capacidade do sistema de oferecer tratamento, às vezes é difícil você saber quanto é que a mortalidade foi por alteração do vírus. Então, hoje o que a gente sabe é que antes da epidemia de P1, a prevalência foi diferente em várias regiões, algumas estavam parecidas com Manaus. Se existe alguma proteção da infecção anterior, vão ter regiões, principalmente o sul do país, muito mais sensíveis a esse novo vírus do que as outras, algumas regiões que já estavam com 40%, 50% de exposição prévia. E realmente, uma das coisas que a gente viu, aqui está aquele aumento, que provavelmente esse aumento anterior foi por conta da P2, e realmente, a partir de janeiro você tem esse aumento exponencial por causa da P1, com essa imagem triste que é praticamente uma sincronização da epidemia, transmissão muito rápida e faltando UTI em todos os lugares ao mesmo tempo. Então, nosso grupo trabalhou junto com a Universidade de Yale e também nós desenvolvemos protocolos, e já em fevereiro, várias cidades, por exemplo, o caso de Araraquara, no meio de fevereiro, antes do carnaval, 93% das amostras já eram P1. E a gente ainda está trabalhando para entender melhor o quadro, isso aqui é bem início, amostras de fevereiro, como elas se comportaram, você já via que a epidemia realmente foi muito rápida. Então, era isso que eu queria dar uma ideia de como foi a preparação, de como a gente está trabalhando aqui nessa dificuldade toda, porque realmente ficou muito ruim o número de você não ter hospital, você saber que nem todo mundo vai ter acesso a uma UTI, e por isso que é tão importante a gente buscar e desenvolver mais a ciência no nosso país. Então, eu tenho que agradecer todo mundo, várias pessoas trabalharam juntas para ter isso, várias universidades, e sempre os grupos que deram apoio financeiro, o NIH, o MRC, a FAPESP, e também parte do que eu mostrei de dados veio todos pela saúde do Banco Itaú. Então, falando isso, eu não sei se eu passei, acho que eu espero ter ficado dentro do tempo. Senão, eu de repente comecei a correr, achei que eu estava ficando um pouco... Mas também, se alguém quiser fazer alguma pergunta, a gente pode responder nesse
Foi ótimo, professor Ester, que aula! Muito bom, muito obrigada. Eu vou fazer as perguntas. Então, a primeira pergunta que nós temos aqui is, what research methodologies need to be changed to advance the science? It's a matter of mindset, technology, or both?
In Brazil, you mean? Or
I think in general.
Well, in general, mindset is important, at least here in Brazil. I think we need to change, because science is changing so fast, and because now you need to work together in different groups with different knowledge. So it's not easy to make groups and to have people working together, especially when their cultures are different. So it's already difficult to work with your own culture, making large groups. Imagine when you have to add people from other countries. So there is no other way than trying and improving it. And I think the best way is if the agents keep doing this, like the CADI project, in which two agents together gave money, one for UK and the Brazilian for Brazil, so we could work together in parallel. So I think that's the best scenario, exactly the same as the NIH to the REDS program. We really need long-term support for this kind of networks so they can respond timely.
Great. Another question, this one is in Portuguese, so I'm going to switch now. No seu entendimento, haverá uma nova pandemia num futuro próximo, e a P1 está só no Brasil ou já está em outros países?
Eu acho até uns 36 países, já na Itália, mesmo nos Estados Unidos, eles detectaram um surto, acho que agora recentemente em Massachusetts. Então, vai demorar um tempo, eu acho, para a gente conseguir controlar, mesmo em surgindo as vacinas, tem um esforço enorme para produzir, para ter vacina em todo lugar, não só em alguns países, é super importante isso. Porque eu acho que senão vão surgir variantes que vão sobressair as vacinas em curso e todo mundo vai estar sempre na expectativa dela poder voltar de forma drástica. Eu acho que sim, a resposta é, para o corona vai demorar bastante tempo. Outros coronavírus também, porque a gente está degradando demais o nosso meio ambiente, esses vírus estão em vários animais, e com esse grande número de pessoas infectadas, é muito fácil imaginar que elas vão entrar no meio ambiente atual e você pode já recombinar um vírus que já se adaptou à espécie humana a ganhar novos antígenos e voltar de novo. Então, eu acho que isso é um pouco assustador, mas é possível e a gente tem que estar atento a essa segunda. Só com esse coronavírus, fora os outros vírus. Então, a gente realmente precisa botar um esforço enorme no mundo para melhorar a nossa capacidade de interação entre os países, para um controle mais adequado do que aconteceu. E isso só acontece, primeiro, com cooperação. Muitas vezes a cooperação científica vai levar a longo prazo o treinamento das pessoas a trabalhar em culturas diferentes. Então, eu vejo a ciência como uma ferramenta de diplomacia, em que você vai formar a nova geração que consegue ou entende a cultura do outro para poder trabalhar juntos.
Obrigada. Tem uma pergunta aqui que eu vou juntar com uma outra pergunta, porque elas são similares, que é: qual a sua opinião para alguém ser bem-sucedido em ciência e como passar sobre essa síndrome do impostor? Como overcome it?
Eu acho que é um sentimento bem comum. Acho que a primeira coisa é a gente saber que isso é comum e que muita gente vai sentir isso, você também. Então, eu acho que a primeira coisa é saber que isso é comum. Eu acho que você falar ou quando você sentiu, isso já ajuda. Para mim, no começo, era muito aterrorizante você estar tão exposta como aconteceu, mas foi acontecendo, né? Então, eu acho que, para mim, acabou empurrando eu para, não, eu quero fazer alguma coisa que eu acho que é bom o suficiente. Mas é complexo. Eu acho que depende muito da sensação e perguntar para as pessoas, ter apoio de outras pessoas no momento que você está tendo mais dificuldade é sempre importante, né? Ter alguém que ajude você profissionalmente em determinados momentos faz toda a diferença.
E aproveitando essa pergunta, vou dar gancho em mais uma aqui, que é em relação qual a importância da mídia na divulgação científica? Que a senhora falou de todo esse momento que a mídia fez esse boom com o sequenciamento.
Então, a mídia no Brasil, então, são um pouco diferente do que é nos Estados Unidos e do que é no Brasil. Porque no Brasil, a gente tinha uma vida apagada. Então, a gente estava num outro momento, quando surgiu essa epidemia, em que a Universidade de São Paulo estava sofrendo, por exemplo, uma CPI na Assembleia Legislativa para saber o que a universidade fazia. Então, tudo isso, por um lado é ruim, por outro lado chama atenção. Olha, a gente não está se comunicando direito, porque para as pessoas não saberem o que a gente faz, a gente precisa dar esse passo. E, na verdade, era a época que eu era diretora do Instituto de Medicina Tropical e já tinha começado a trabalhar nisso. Na verdade, um ano antes a gente tinha começado a organizar como a gente ia passar ciência para frente, para a mídia, como informar a população. Era um trabalho que a gente estava focado. E quando aconteceu, na verdade, eu estava um pouco mais treinada de que, olha, isso aqui precisa passar, fazer o press release, isso é importante. Então, eu acho que para o Brasil teve muito esse lado de apoiar num momento muito complexo para que a gente valorizasse a ciência no momento de cortes grandes, desqualificação dos cientistas. Então, foi bom por isso. Agora, depois que com a Covid, eu acho que a gente vai ter que repensar muito como é a nossa comunicação, quando você escreve um pré-print, como que deve ser a forma de se comunicar. Muitas vezes as pessoas falam com jornalistas antes até de escreverem um pré-print. Você coloca um pré-print e faz uma coisa enorme, você sabe que ainda não está aprovado, você quer ouvir as respostas antes de você estar falando com o jornalista. Então, Então, toda essa coisa ainda a gente precisa discutir qual é a melhor forma de comunicar, porque eu acho que isso é muito importante, e quando a gente comunica errado também pode ter consequências, então a gente tem que estar muito preparado para poder fazer da melhor forma, se é que existe uma melhor forma. Acho que toda forma que você comunicar sempre vai ter algum, mas você podia ter feito assim ou assado. É difícil você saber o que vai acontecer a priori, mas o mais importante é continuar comunicando.
E em relação até, como a senhora falou sobre os cortes de verba que aconteceram, todo esse problema, tem uma outra pergunta aqui que vai de acordo com isso, que é: How does public policy help control the pandemic by advanced science? How does it become an obstacle?
So if you don't have, I'm not sure if you don't work with science to respond to such an epidemic, there is no way you're going to be able to control it. So you need to work together. I think science needs to understand how the people who have to make decisions rapid, independent, you have the best experiment, that you are not completely sure. So you need to work together to understand the rule and the problems that you face when you don't have the perfect experiment. But without science, you're not going to go out of any of those epidemics, especially in places like Brazil. We really need to work together. And this is not yet defined, not even how to do it. Not even like something that I see in the US that we don't have here. You have those scientific committees organized in the government to make decisions. And there is no such a thing in Brazil. So we need to build up that maybe the government will not take this in consideration, but at least in the design of the government, there is this place. I think this is very important, that we start looking for this as natural. And people say, I'm following the scientists, but you don't even know what is the group, who are the scientists, what are they saying? So you need to have this in the structure of the government.
Yeah, so because of the time, I'm going to make the last question. So the other questions are in the chat, so we can see if we can answer them later. But for the last question, Dr. Sabino, I have here. Thank you so much, Dr. Sabino, for your amazing talk. Once the numbers of cases of 2P1 decrease, may we face another increase anytime soon with another variants? What are the chances that the vaccines may not be effective against the new variants?
So there are two new, one is already on medRxiv showing that the current vaccine in Brazil has the same efficacy as in the phase 3 trial, which is not that perfect. It's 50-something%, but at least it didn't lose capacity to respond as we would think with P1. So that's the good news. These the current ones that are available, because you need available vaccines. You can't work with the perfect vaccines if they are not there. But they would do what they were saying, that it was to decrease in at least 50% the rate of transmission. So it seems that there are two papers coming out showing that. So I think for now, it's okay, but we really need to work out the vaccine so it's more broad to all the possible variants. And then do a vigilance so we know the new variants and we can work out rapidly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sabino. It was an amazing talk. Thanks so much for answering the questions. Thank you, everyone, for making these amazing questions. So now I want to invite again to the stage Cynthia to keep going with the awards.
Thank you, Liliana. Thank you, Professor Ester Sabino. She is undoubtedly one of the greatest scientific minds we have today. It's actually a great honor also always to hear you, and it was a great honor being able to interview you at Chacon Valley, which is an interview series that we hold every Sunday on the Grupo Mulheres do Brasil, Núcleo Vale do Silício, Silicon Valley chapter. And I would like to announce that the winners of our award prize are all invited to be interviewed by me on the next 2 Sundays. After we are going to chat about it and see which day it's going to be for each of you, each group. But it will be a great opportunity for us to hear more about these amazing women and their work and how the award impact their careers. So now I would like to invite for quick remarks our organizers, Monica Consuma Marcolino and Marcia Fournier, so we can hear a little bit about the experience of organizing this award, and also to thank all of this amazing team you see on the screen. So welcome to the stage, Monica and Marcia. If you please can open your mic.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for having me here.
Sure.
Thank you, Cynthia.
It's my pleasure. I would love to, let me stop sharing the screen so we can see you bigger. So we would love to hear from you. What is this award about? What is your organization about, the one you represent? And also, what did motivate you to work for months for free to make this brilliant moment happen? So the stage is yours.
I can start, Cynthia, thank you. So I actually want to start with a question. Did you know that only 30% of scientists working globally are women? Only 30%. But I go even further. Did you know that only 6% of them are Latinas? That is a number that is shocking. And that is a reason that Dimension Science exists. Dimension Sciences was created to create opportunities for inclusion of underrepresented communities in science and technology fields. We want to see more diversity, inclusion, so Dimension Science is 100% run by volunteers like us, so we are crazy. We work hours and hours to make this happen, and I'm very thankful for all the volunteers that contribute to this event and making this award happen, but also developing programs at Dimension Science. The way we support minorities in science is by giving scholarships, awards like the ScientistA Award, and mentoring programs. The ScientistA Award, as you guys know, celebrates Brazilian women doing science in the US. And I can share a little bit of my story. I came to this country from Brazil 24 years ago to chase my dream in cancer research. And there's wonderful women from the Silicon Valley chapter of Grupo Mulheres Brasil. They also a Brazilian woman doing science in the US. So the ScientistA Award is really about giving back to our communities and strengthen the collaborations, the scientific collaboration between the US and Brazil. As you guys know, we've received 50 applicants, high qualified. It was really hard for our scientific committee to select 30 finalists, and finalists that were announced last week. Today, you're gonna meet the 7 winners from these 30 finalists in a minute. So, but I want actually to talk to all 50 applicants. I want all 50 applicants to feel they are winners today, because they are. All of you represent the next generation leadership in science and technology in Brazil and US. So congratulations to you all. Thank you for your resilience, courage, and dedication, because you left your home country to live and work here in the US to chase your dreams in science. And I also want to thank you, Dr. Ester Sabino, for her leadership in science during this pandemic of COVID-19. My dream, and is this last thing I'm going to say, is that next year, when we are here, I'm going to report back to you that we improved that 6% number. So thank you all, and congratulations to all of you. Monica, you can.
Hard to take this page after this emotion. Yeah, thank you so much, Marcia. And I will start my talk, not a talk, a speech, by explaining what Grupo Mulheres do Brasil is. So we are a nonpartisan group of Brazilian women, which was created in 2013 to advocate for female leadership in building a sustainable society and a better country. So we are women who decided to stop complaining and stop waiting for the government, and we engage society to identify the problems, bring information, think about solutions, and ultimately propose changes to solve those problems. Today, we are 85,000 women, spreading hundreds of chapters in Brazil and in other 20 countries. One big example of things we do is the movement Unidos pela Vacina, to accelerate the vaccination of all Brazilians. We'll put in the website in the chat for those who want to know more about this movement. The group, organizing chapters named by the city or the region where the chapter is located. So we are the chapter of the Silicon Valley, Núcleo Vale do Silício. And we are dedicated to building bridges with Brazil by connecting ideas, tools, content, people, and ecosystems that contribute to the institutional purpose of making Brazil a better country. In addition, we strengthen and develop the local community through partnerships. For me, being part of this group, it means being able to contribute to my country, even being far away here in the US. And I'm really fascinated by how we can join forces around the world to solve such complex problems. And we start believing in the individual and how we can articulate and organize to bring the sustainable society we want for the future. This award, the ScientistA Award, is just the first step of a dream for a strong community of Brazilian scientists around the world that inspires and empowers the development of science in Brazil. So I also want to take this opportunity to thank all the 50 candidates we had and encourage you to keep doing your science and believing in yourselves to make this next generation of scientists even more bright and strong than we already have. I also want to take this opportunity to thank all the volunteers who participated in the Silicon Valley chapter. We have here, Cynthia is a leader of the chapter with me. We have the science team, Liliana, Narjera, and Elisa, who worked since the beginning to generate the ideas and make this happen. Teresa and Priscilla, who collaborated in the planning, and Priscilla, who is here leading the chat. Marily, who is there keeping people updated on Instagram. And we have other volunteers who helped making the environment and bringing strength to the group to make this possible. And I also want to give a shout out to some of our collaborators, especially our diplomat friends, Lauro Beltrão and Luciana Mancini. Lauro from the embassy, Cynthia already mentioned him as he's attendee in our audience today. And Luciana Mancini from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They believed in our project since the beginning and endorsed our idea and gave us a lot of confidence that we were in the right path to help science made by Brazilians and made in Brazil too. I also want to thank the groups that helped us share the word. And Pub New York, Pub Boston, Brave, which is the Brazilian women in the Bay Area, Best at San Diego, and Pub Tech. You were a great help for spreading the word and making people engage in this project. So I'm really thankful for you. And also all the other chapters that helped spread the word and support our project. So I'm really thankful for everyone and thankful for being here. And as I said before, this is just the first step. We want to inspire and empower Brazilian science.
Thank you, Monica. Marcia, would you like to add something?
I would like to thank our scientific advisory board, which is composed of 3 co-chairs, Professor Márcio Alves Ferreira, Gonçalo Apolinário, and Pedro Massaguet. They did all the heavy lifting of this award. They're also volunteers, and they work with a team of over 30 ad hoc advisors who reviewed and evaluate over 100 evaluations came to us because each candidate was evaluated by at least 2 of our ad hoc advisors. So I would like to thank you for everybody for participating in that, and our 3 sponsors, Alma X, Bruno Drummond, and Magalu.
Thank you, Marcia. Thank you, Monica. It's really beautiful to see your dedication and the light in your eyes when you talk about science and you talk about the opportunity of creating this award and this connection, all this cooperation within science, but also with the society, right? Because I'm here, I'm not a scientist, so I'm here representing the non-scientists who are also interested and benefit from all the work you do. So I thank you for that. And also we have now, it is a wonderful legacy you are creating. And we have someone here, it's a video, but we're very thankful that she recorded for us, and she will talk a little bit more about this legacy, who is Luiz Helena Trajano. She is the president of Grupo Mulheres do Brasil. So let's hear what she has to say to us.
Eu sou Luiz Helena Trajano, presidente do Grupo Mulheres do Brasil e do Conselho do Magalu. E há muitos anos, gente, que eu fico muito impressionado tanto que nós temos que valorizar ciências, os cientistas e tecnologia. O Brasil tem pessoas maravilhosas e a gente por uns anos largou disso. E de repente vem esse grupo maravilhoso daí e me apresenta um prêmio de iniciativa que chama Prêmio ScientistA, para poder homenagear 5 mulheres cientistas. Nossa, foi muito maravilhoso. Eu sei que fiquei sabendo que foram 50 candidatas maravilhosas, que elas tiveram dificuldade para escolher as melhores, então não fique triste, porque a gente vai voltar. E esse prêmio tem tudo a ver com as mulheres do Brasil, que tem uma área de saúde, de ecossistema e de tudo mais, e eu apaixonada para investir nessa área. Então é com muito prazer que eu estou aqui para cumprimentar todas que participaram, para dizer todas parabéns às vencedoras, e é com muito prazer, em nome do Grupo Mulheres do Brasil, que eu digo, que bom ter vocês que já estão na frente. É tão importante hoje, nesse momento de tanta vulnerabilidade da saúde, que a gente tenha prevenção, e só através de vocês nós vamos conhecer de ter prevenção. Parabéns, grupo aí, muito obrigada. Em nome do Magalu, estou muito feliz também de estar podendo participar de uma forma aí tão pequena, mas tão especial. Um beijo para cada um de vocês, parabéns, parabéns. Vamos parar esse prêmio para todos os lugares que tenha mulheres do Brasil. Beijos.
I always get emotional when I hear Luisa speaking. She's a great inspiration for me, and I learn a lot from her. So let's take a deep breath as we dream about taking Brazilian science to the next level. And to do that, and actually let you all know who our winners are, I would like to first start saying that we had 54 applications, 16 states represented, and 3 areas of research: healthcare, life sciences, and translational researches. We had 30 finalists, and our partner, Raw Organic, is gifting them with a wonderful kit of their beauty and hygiene products. So if you are on our top 30 list, be aware that you are going to receive on your email more information about this compliment soon. And now let's take a look at our 7 winners. Who is curious? We have from our 54, we went to the top 30, and now we are going to see the top 7. And cha-cha-cha-cha! 1 second to create a mystery, and let's read their names. After we read their names, we are going to invite many of our guests to give them symbolic the award here. So this is what's going to happen. We are going to call each one of them. They will announce the honorable mentions and then the winner of the cash prize. And as each one is announced, they have the opportunity to come to the stage and briefly say thank you, give their remarks that they would like to give. And that's going to be our dynamic now. So I invite you, even after knowing the names, to stay with us until the end, because we are going to have the opportunity to hear many inspirational and interesting people sharing their insights with us. So, cha-cha-cha-cha, let's go. First, I would like to thank our sponsors, of course, because if we refill too soon, where is the fun about? So again, I would like to thank our sponsors, and because they made this possible, and our partners. And now we are ready to see the names. Are you ready? Let's go. So in alphabetic order, these are the finalists eligible for the cash prize and the honorable mentions: Amanda Tomie Ouchida, Caroline Junqueira, Clarissa Fontes, Izabella Pena, Luciana Pádua Tavares, Maria Cecilia Campos Canesso e Mirella. Tá maravilhoso, porque o Zoom tá aqui na frente do meu do nome. Mirella Altoé. Perfeito. Esses são as nossas finalistas. Oh, sorry, I started speaking in Portuguese. So perfect. These are our finalists, and I would like to now invite to the stage. I would like to invite to the stage Márcio Alves Ferreira, who is a PhD. Let me stop sharing this now. He's a PhD, and he is a Dimension Science board member, and he's going to present our first honorable mention of today. So welcome to the stage, Márcio.
Thank you, Cynthia, for the introduction. So I started in science back in the 90s at Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, a public university. At that time, it was a big change for me, going from a private school to a public school. And the variety of backgrounds and cultures present in a public university brought a lot for me. Once I started my post-graduation at the same university, I noticed that most of the diversity was gone for several reasons. It it's different what happened when I look to most of my female colleagues in post-graduation. A lot of them could not pursue dreams and become a scientist or inventor, again, for a myriad of reasons. But several of these reasons are related exclusively to their gender imposed by society. The ScientistA award represents for me a recognition of those women that, against all odds, pursue their dreams. The quality of the science presented here in this small group of 30 women is incredible. But behind it, we know there are a lot more than that they had to leave behind to achieve such remarkable results. So let's listen to Carolina Tavares, one of the ScientistA honorable mentions. Welcome, welcome, Carolina.
Caroline, você está no mudo.
No, that's me, Caroline Junqueira. I'm. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, I understood Tavares. So I really would like to thank you the opportunity. I'm here surrounded by my daughter and my mom, 3 generations of women that are always supporting me, and to be here in United States doing research, really high standard research, it's a really an honor. And I'm pretty sure that it's not easy. I've been facing a lot of difficulties over the past 40 years here to be a Brazilian woman doing science, although some of people earlier today said that they didn't face that, but I did a lot. And I really do like to thank you, the organization, for this award, because it means a lot for us. It means a lot to be a woman doing science. We need to support each other to go forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Caroline Junqueira, for your work. Congratulations for that. And also thank you, Professor Márcio Ferreira, for your cooperation on this award. And it's so emotional. It's so beautiful to see this happening. I would like now to invite to the stage to present our next honorable mention, Pedro Massaguer. Did I say that right? Who is also a PhD and a Scientist Advisory Board chair. So please be welcome to the stage, Pedro. Oh, we have Márcio back again. Be welcome back again.
It's pity because Pedro had a very bad connection right now. So Pedro, it was the chair of this this process. So he he did a perfect work. So a lot of work in these last 5 days, especially these last 5 days. But he has worked for a long time in that process. So it's pity that he couldn't participate with us. So I'd like now to introduce our next honorable mention. That will be Maria Cecilia Campos Canesso. Please.
It's complicated. I think I just wanted to thank you all guys, all Dimension Science, Grupo Mulheres Brasil, and all the organizers for this amazing opportunity. It was a very nice afternoon, getting inspired, networking and getting to hear you guys all. And I think for me, this prize is just it just acknowledges everything that I've been doing, that I've done. And it just gives me more incentive to keep going, and just to be an example for the young Brazilian women scientists, so many minorities in just this one prize phrase and everything, just to see we can get whatever we want. It's obviously possible. The difficulties are gonna come, but we are bigger than that. So I think it's really nice, and it just gives me more incentive to do for other young scientists what my amazing mentors, super powerful women did for me throughout my career. So thank you very much. It's a very amazing initiative.
Thank you, Maria Cecilia, for your work. And congratulations on this honorable mention award. And thank you, Professor Márcio, again for your share on this. And now we are moving on to our third honorable mention. I would like to invite to the stage Mariangela Ismania, who is our sponsor and also founder and CEO of Alma XP, Alma Experience, must I say, and a dear friend of mine who is always great to see. Welcome, Mariangela.
Obrigada. Oh, thank you, Cynthia, for this wonderful introduction. It's a pleasure to be with you and all these wonderful participants of the program. This is an award, is a great opportunity to highlight the wonderful work of these Brazilian women are doing, and to serve the inspiration to all women, especially for those with passion of science. It's a great form of support and collaboration. It's my privilege to introduce an honor mention winner, Amanda Toni Ouchida from the Board Institute. I hope I pronounced her name right.
I'm so happy. I'm trying.
Oh, I'm happy for you too.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here today. And yeah, for me to win this award is not just like inspirational for my career, but it shows me that I'm in the right path, and I want to be an inspiration for many other young women scientists that are back in Brazil as I was. And we think that's not possible to do science, and it is possible. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Amanda. That was so beautiful. I am crying here too. Oh my God, I'm on camera. Thank you for that. Thank you for your work. Congratulations on the honorable mention. Thank you, Mariangela, for this special moment. And I would like again to reinforce that I will love to have all of our winners. We consider all of you wonderful inspiration, and I would like to have all of you to have tea with me on Chá com Vale on the next 2 Sundays, so we can have a proper interview and a moment to hear more about your research, your work, your history, and also we can talk about the imposter syndrome for each one of you on this moment. So please be aware that we are going to get in touch with you after during this week, so we can do all the arrangement for that. And now we are going to meet our next honorable mention. And for that, I would like to invite to the stage Mariana Nogueira Batista, who is a PhD and is representing our partner, PUB New York. Welcome to the stage, Mariana.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to represent PUB New York in this ceremony here today. Well, as scientists, at some point of our lifetime, we understand that doing science is not only about your research field and the people who understand what to do. It's also about being understood, inspiring, and paving the way for the new generations of scientists. PUB New York has in this one of its pillars. Bringing people together makes us stronger and helps us think better on how to make science in Brazil more accessible and robust. And we'll make it. The ScientistA Award is making it right now. That's why it's so important to us as PUB New York to support this initiative. Congratulations for being a woman in science. And particularly today, congratulations for being a Brazilian woman in science, on top of all the challenges that being a woman in science already imposes to you. PUB New York is especially proud to announce that the next honorable mention award today goes to Luciana Tavares from Brigham and Women's Hospital, Harvard Medical School. Congratulations.
Thank you guys so much. I'm also a little bit emotional, so I don't think I can use nice words at this point. Very nervous and very happy about it. I don't have the right words, but I wanted to say that this award, it's another step into a dream, and I want to use it as an inspiration for not only me, as Maria Cecilia also mentioned, and the other like Caroline and Amanda, they also said it's like to inspire other women to pursue their dreams, especially in scientists. Being a Brazilian, we know that resilience, strength is in our blood, basically. So it's a very honor to be here representing all good women in science. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Luciana, and congratulations. Thank you for your wonderful work. Thank you, Mariana, and also Pub New York for being part of this historical moment. It's really a great honor to be here. All of us, all this wonderful community that is united here today, it's part of this moment in history. Hopefully 10 years from now, we are going to be during the 10th anniversary of the ScientistA Prize, and remembering this moment during the pandemic times when we decided to risk ourselves out there and connect all these incredible people and come to this Zoom award and do our best to make this happen. Also, we did all the donations. The prize, it was built from donations, from volunteered work and donations. So we had our sponsors that I have mentioned before, and also our partners. But also we have us, the people here, not not the enterprise, not the companies, but also each one of us individually who contributed with donations through the Dimension Science website to make this, to add up to this cash prize and also make this moment possible. So I would like to let you know, for those who just arrived or for those who already forget and want to be remembered, that you can donate, you can help the ScientistA award, you can help I will say that is more than help. You can be part of this. It's not just help, it's being a part of this wonderful legacy that is being created by Dimension Science, Grupo Mulheres do Brasil, and all the ScientistA Award community. So please go to the Dimension Science website. If someone can please write that on the website, on the chat for us. If you can please go to our website. Any donations from $25 or plus will be competing, will be up to a raffle prize, which is 1 year subscription of masterclass. And I must say that it's an incredible world of learning masterclass. So I highly recommend that. And of course, we'll be contributing. That is just to be more exciting for us, the idea of the raffle. But really the fundamental of that, we know we are not just waiting for someone to bring the solution. We know that we are putting our time, our energy, our efforts, our resources to make now the future we want to see, the Brazil and the world that we want to live in. So please be part of the history. And how about now we find out who is our 5th honorable mention of the day. So I'm going to invite to the stage also a dear friend, and she's here already.
Yes.
From PhD and from Grupo Mulheres do Brasil, Silicon Valley chapter. Welcome to the stage, Elisa.
Thank you, Cynthia. I'm very excited. So looking back at the last 6 months of meetings and all work that we put together, and then to finally see our project turned into such an exciting event with international proportions, with outstanding female scientists working in the US. I can finally say our mission is accomplished. Thank you all. I feel truly fulfilled and amazing. And I hope that ScientistA Award may inspire and empower more scientists, more female scientists, wherever you are, and also help build bridges between scientists in Brazil and in the US. Because as we establish more collaborations, the more high impact science we can perform. So, on behalf of the Grupo Mulheres do Brasil Silicon Valley chapter, I would like to say well done to all the nominees. And also, I'm honored to announce that our last but not least honorable mentions goes to Dr. Mirella Altoé from New York University. Congratulations!
Thank you, really. Thank you so much. Oh, that's so special. I would like to thank Dimension Science Organization and for their initiative. Also, my advisor here in the US that helped me with the whole process and supported me. And just to highlight that this kind of prize and recognition, it's a power way to remind us that what we do matters and who we are matters. And being a Brazilian woman scientist is and should be a great honor, and we all should be proud of our identity and our hard work. So thank you so much, and congratulations to all these amazing women scientists. It's really an honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mirella, for your work. Congratulations on your honorable mention. I can't wait to hear more about all of these amazing stories. Thank you, Elisa, for presenting the honorable mention. And now, the time we've all been waiting. It's so exciting. I would like to invite back to the stage to present the first prize for the award ScientistA, for the ScientistA Award, Professor Ester Sabino. And it's an honor, again, to have her here with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to offer this prize.
We are very happy to have you here today, Professor Ester Sabino. I would like to thank you again for your wonderful presentation. It was so inspiring, so moving. And I know you talked about the imposter syndrome, but you are great. So embrace it and please keep sharing it, your greatness with us, because we all get inspired to be greater at what we are doing, looking up to you. And I also would like to say that we have a surprise. I just received here from our production a message that before Professor Ester Sabino shares who is our first prize winner, we have a word to hear from Bob Chapman, who is Dimension Science co-founder. So welcome, Bob, and tell us, what do you have here?
Thank you so much, Cynthia, and thank you, Dr. Sabino. I do have an announcement, but before I make that announcement, let me just say how incredible these 50 qualified candidates have been and the work that they're doing. Very impressive. As you know, it was a very rigorous evaluation process, and many of you have served on evaluation committees and review committees before in the past. And if you haven't, you certainly will be in the future. It is an arduous process, and it's incredibly difficult because you do have to make tough decisions to narrow the list of winners down. And they are all winners. Everyone who qualified is definitely a winner. We narrowed it down from 50 to 7, and then 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But when we got to 1, the board could not make a decision choosing the 2 highest scored candidates. So I'm here to announce today that the board decided to give 2 cash prizes to 2 winners. So Dr. Sabino, I'll turn it over to you and you can introduce the other winner.
Okay, but I didn't get the name, so I don't know yet.
Well, I'll go ahead and do that on your behalf. Now, I'm not sure if the two cash prize winners are present at the moment, but if they're not, and we cannot call them to the stage, we will have our founder, Marcia Fournier, describe and summarize their research. The two winners are Clarissa Fontes from the University of Minnesota for her incredible work. And the other cash prize winner is Izabella Pena of MIT. So congratulations.
Congratulations. I see Izabella here, so I believe she's
wonderful.
She's not on stage, but she's coming.
Tá bom.
Tá bom.
Parabéns, parabéns. Isso.
Olá.
Clarissa is here as well. Wonderful. Bem-vindo e parabéns, Clarissa.
Obrigada.
Clarissa, can you please open your microphone? Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. That's amazing news. Thank you. I'm doing fieldwork right now, so I couldn't participate in the whole ceremony, but I'm very, very grateful for this award. This means a lot to me. It means that it's a push for me to keep doing what I love the most, which is research. So thank you a lot.
Congratulations, Clarissa, and thank you for your research, all your efforts. And I can't wait to hear more about your story at Chacon Valley. And we also have here Izabella. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm just like so surprised and so happy. I was not expecting that. This is just, I'm very happy about this. And I think, thank you so much for the organization of the ScientistA Award. I think this is such an amazing idea because I think I feel like that as a Brazilian scientist here in Boston, the MIT, I feel so lonely. I don't see a lot of people like me. And all of a sudden I saw all these amazing women just like me here in the United States. And I just can't wait to connect with everybody and just be friends and work together. And I just hope that this award helps, inspiring a new generation of women scientists that see us and think like, I can also be a woman scientist. I can also, be a successful researcher. And, we're here to do science. We're here because we love it. We want to advance science for us, for our country, for the planet. And I just hope, this award is going to help me connect with more people like me and also be a source of inspiration. I really want to thank my professor, David Sabatini. I think he's been very supportive of, minorities in science. And I just have no words to thank you all for choosing me. I feel so humbled and very emotional. This means a lot. I think it's really a push. It's going to motivate us to be better and to just get there, right? We just need to get there and win. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Izabella, for your wonderful words. We have here on the chat, Izabella, you are not alone. We are here to say thank you and congratulations. And thank you, Professor Ester Sabino and Bob Chapman. If you would like to add something as we come to the end of this award, please.
I will give the honor to Dr. Sabino for last words of final remarks.
Yes, I am very impressed and very happy to be here and know how science is moving the Brazilian and the US. I think it is a hard time, and it's so important to be linked to other people, other women, and know that you can connect. So congratulations, well done. And thank you for being here.
Thank you. Well, I also want to thank on behalf of the board, Cynthia as well, for your moderation and being such an incredible host. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you. It's an honor to be here. It takes a while for us to get warmed up, because the imposter syndrome is not a privilege of the scientists. It happens to all of us.
I never doubt a Brazilian woman. Don't worry about it.
You never doubt the Brazilian woman. Thank you, Bob, for trusting us with this. I'll share my screen one last time with you, as I would like to say that we are having, for the winners, please go with us and our dear guests, including Professor Sabino, go with us to our after party, winners after party Zoom. Because I really would like to take a picture with all of you, so we can remember this moment in this way too. And for everybody who was here with us, who shared this Saturday with us, thank you so much. I would like to thank you on behalf of Dimension Science, of Grupo Mulheres do Brasil, Silicon Valley Chapter. I would like to thank all of our sponsors, partners, and to say that it's beautiful. We're making history here. This is amazing. It's really wonderful. And hope to see you all again next year for the second edition of the ScientistA Award. And let me see if I forgot something. No, I think, oh yes, please follow us and talk to us, connect to us on our channels. You can see now on your screen for more science, more innovation, more about Brazil. And that's it. That's a wrap. Thank you all so much and have a wonderful week, a wonderful life. Please be safe and be happy and be your best version. Let's fight together the imposter syndrome and and finally live the lives we were born to live. Thank you all. It was a great opportunity and a great honor. Thank you.